Good morning, everyone. Deary me. Just got up. Got a nice, well, I haven't got a nice drink. My juice is coming later. But of course you didn't come here to find out what I drink. And sadly, it's not alcohol. Otherwise, I probably would have been able to cope with a lot of the shit that's been going on lately. But I digress. Deary me, I look so much better now, don't I? Anyway, I wanted to talk today about the current situation with regards to the Wanda deal. Because I've had it found out that apparently this deal is not stopping the boats coming. I will be linking a video in the description below for you to see. It is from a guy who I've not seen before, who is named Steve Laws. But he has apparently found out that there are more of these migrants coming over to the United Kingdom who are going to get put up in hotels that are going to cost us, the taxpayer, £5 million per day, and that's really fucking lowballing it. But these people are not apparently stopping their attempts to come over here, which, to be fair, I don't think it was more meant to do that. It was more meant to deter people from trying to come over here. But my point being is that these guys should not be landing here in the United Kingdom. They should be removed at the first opportunity. But then we all know how much the lamestream media don't want that, how much the government doesn't really want that, because after all, they're all for cheap labour, as we all know full well. Because it's much easier to hire somebody who's out in, I don't know, Uganda or Ecuador or what's that place? United Emirates States or whatever it is. It's much easier to import the labour where they're used to being paid peanuts compared to what they're paid here. Hell, back in the day, I believe Romania was paid like 9 times as much here as they were back in their own home country. So, as I've said before, I can't really blame them for coming over. But that's not the point I'm trying to make here. The point I'm trying to make is that these people who are coming over to our channels illegally, who have no legal or human right to be here, are still trying to cross over, and the RNLI, despite the deal being put in place, are completely ignoring said deal and are bringing them over to our country anyway. Which I would say, as I said, if these guys have no legal or human right to be here, they should not be here. Full stop. Why should we be forking out our taxpayers' money for people to come over just because they want to get better prospects here? I'm pretty sure if I went to somewhere like France or Spain or the United States, I'm pretty sure they wouldn't take too kindly to me going over to their country just because I wanted to get better fucking prospects for myself and wanted to live in a hotel at the taxpayer's expense. They would not be fucking pleased, let me tell you. And this is no different. The people who come over here, and some of them will want to genuinely work, which I am approving of, but there are those that are going to simply sit in the hotel rooms, sponge off the system, and cost us money. And those are the people I don't want here. Though frankly, if they've got no legal or human right to be here anyway, as said, they shouldn't be here full stop. But of course, these days, the mainstream media and our corrupt establishment don't care about that. They just care about getting these people in to replace the white, well, they call it majority. We're becoming a minority, quite frankly. Also on the menu today is something that I've been trying for the last couple of weeks to try and discuss, but unfortunately my video just never seems to make it up to YouTube because of fucking networking problems. Thanks, YouTube. Virgin Media, my arse. But I digress. The issue regarding Partygate with Boris the Clown Johnson and wishy-washy Sunak is that the way I look at their situation is it's nothing more than just a slap on the wrist in this basically circus that is our political class. The political class that hides themselves in the houses of treachery, because if they were seen by the public eye, they would get absolutely roasted to hell and back. It almost made Lucifer's place in hell look like a holiday camp. Anyway, these people do not dare show their faces, because they know full well that the British people hate them. Just take a look at Sadiq Khan. Or maybe I got it right first time, who knows. The mayor who has quite arguably been the most incompetent and the most useless mayor of our time. More interested in policing mean tweets and putting out more road signs for speeding and all that shit than actually taking care of London and its own inhabitants. But back on topic, Rishi Sunak and of course the clown Johnson, they are quite happy to get a fine rather than face jail time, because frankly they have a considerable amount of cash, though not as much, as I'll admit, as people like the Microsoft twins and Rupert Murdoch. You know, some of the 5 most wealthy people who basically control the world and the mainstream media. The thing that everybody pretty much hates at this point. But the way I look at it is this. These two should be facing prison time to teach them a lesson. They should be kicked out of office and not allowed to run for office for the rest of their political career. And an example should be set where if you decide that you're going to break your own laws, then you need to be impeached and dealt with swiftly. Because I guarantee you, if this was an ordinary member of the public who decided to defy the British government, who wanted to go out and have like 5 parties a week or whatever, I guarantee you the police would arrive faster than anything you'd ever seen before. And they would immediately arrest the culprit in question. Guarantee it. But because it's Boris the Clown Johnson and wishy-washy Sunak, nah. No arrests were made back in the day. And this was at the time as well when the Queen was having a fucking funeral for her dead husband. And they were going out partying during lockdown. Says a lot, doesn't it? If we were to do that, I don't even dare think what would have happened. But you get the point. And all the lockdowns, of course, relate to COVID. You know, the whole thing that the mainstream media were making out, 150,000 people are dying with COVID, oh my God. And then it turned out that only when the Office of National Statistics came out on the day, it turned out only 17,371 people had died with it and directly of COVID. So they were pushing Project Fear constantly. And then what makes it worse is the fact that they then put in laws that if you were to maliciously attempt to spread misinformation or disinformation about COVID, the police would come knocking to your door and you'd be arrested. Says it all, doesn't it? They didn't want the truth getting out. Just like the BBC on Question Time, with one person who had the balls to, well, not literally stand up, but he stood up and basically said, why is the mainstream media not questioning the collateral damage that has been caused as a result of the COVID lockdowns? And I'm talking the damage to the NHS. I'm talking about the people who have had cancer, who are unable to get treatment and have died because of COVID. I'm talking about the people, the children who have missed out on learning in schools, and some of them have even had increased speech difficulties because of constantly having to wear the face masks. That's what I'm talking about right now. Just to put it into perspective, I even have the video up now, and it even says 50,000 fewer men were urgently referred for suspected prostate cancer during the pandemic as NHS waiting list hits record high. Does anybody want to explain that to me? The funny thing is as well, one thing I didn't notice at first in the video was there was a couple of women, who were in the back row right next to the man who was giving this absolute blinder of a question, who were sitting there laughing like and then all of a sudden when they started to realise that people were dying when he started saying that, they quickly changed their tune, especially when they realised they were being fucking recorded. It shows that a lot of these people do not know how to think for themselves, unfortunately. It's a bit like how I used to be when I was a fucking teenager. I would just look at the news and believe it was true, for the most part. Once I started growing up, though, I started to realise how much bullshit was coming out of the mainstream trumpet. These people need to be woken up, and the mainstream media needs to be held to account. Because bear in mind, like I said when I was talking more fervently, shall we say, when I had that job with a certain charity, before they decided to dismiss me for my political views, I actually made the point that these people should be held to account under Section 2 of the 2006 Fraud Act, fraud by false representation. The people who kept on bleating out 150,000 people had died, there were 150 confirmed deaths as a result of it. No. They lied about that. They willfully lied about that. And yet, you know what's really fucking funny? None of them have faced any charges whatsoever. Not for maliciously spreading misinformation, and not for the fraud by false representation. Because here's the funny thing, they even put a little clause in there that categorically says, in layman's terms, that the mainstream media cannot be punished under these misinformation guidelines, even though they have been shown to maliciously lie about COVID. Coincidence? I don't think so. That is the thing. I may have been born at night, but that does not mean I was born last night. And they better fucking believe that if they say something, I'm going to check that shit out, because I don't trust the mainstream media. I don't trust our government. I don't trust our police. I don't trust anyone. I only trust now what I see with my own two goddamn eyes and actual evidence that things are happening. This is why we need to hold all of these traitors to account. And we also need to start holding account anybody in the RNLI who is unequivocally bringing in these migrants despite the Rwanda deal being in play. They need to hold these guys to account and get rid of the people who are coming in illegally. Stephen Laws has clearly identified what the Daily Mirror have lied about. They have lied about these migrants being stopped for 10 days. Oh, sorry, Daily Mail, not Mirror. My apologies. But the point I'm trying to make is there are still migrants coming in. There are still migrants coming in. They're not deporting them. They're not getting rid of them because they have no legal or human right to be here. So to say no illegal migrants for 10 days is a flat-out fucking lie. And I hope Steve actually gives this evidence to GB News and to the Daily Fail, because then it's going to put into perspective how much we've had enough of their bullshit. That's the way I look at it. But of course, this is the same government as well, and the same mainstream media, who are more than willing to do hit pieces on Mr. Robinson. You know, the man who's working on the rape of Britain and is currently working on episode 2. The same man who has had threats from people like Akil Khan and was it Mazar Khan or something like that? The same two people he's investigating because there is rapes going on, grooming gangs going on, and the police under the control of these rape gangs in Telford. So is it any real surprise that I don't trust any of these bastards? Is it a surprise that a lot of people are beginning to lose trust in the mainstream media? Of course, they try to combat this by saying, "Oh, Tommy Robinson, he's number 20 on the terror list." And it's like, fuck off. There's no way that he is a terrorist in any way, shape, or form. What they're doing is just trying to discredit him. But that's what the mainstream media do. When they can't actually compete on the same level as other people, they decide to drag them down to their level and then beat them with experience. A bit like stupidity, really. But I don't want to make this about Mr. Robinson because this is not what this is about. But I'm just using it to draw another point that the media and our government will do just about anything to divert the attention from how crooked and corrupt they are. We must continue fighting this treacherous government and the lamestream media, or is it the lying stream media, should I call them from now on? Because these guys will not stop. And evil only wins when good men do nothing. And I suppose with my baby face I look more like a boy than anything, but hey ho. Anyway, this is the point. They will continue until we give up. But I'm not giving up. I'll never give up. I will continue this for as long as necessary. Oh, and I'm going to do this as a little bit of a side note as well. I may have decided back in the day not to disclose the names of the companies that have decided to dismiss me from their service for political views. I'm going to tell you lot this much for free now. The next company that does it, I am not going to hesitate to put their name out there because I've had enough. The next company that decides, oh, we're going to dismiss this guy for his political views, you better be prepared for the repercussions that's going to bring. Because I assure you, when people find out, if it happens, that I've been dismissed for political views again, I will make sure the whole country knows who you are. I didn't want to have to resort to this. I take no pleasure in resorting to this, despite what my facial expressions and my looking smug looks like. But at the end of the day, we should not be discriminating against people for their political views, unless it supports terrorism. So that's that. As said, videos will be linked in the description below. And I'll say this to the mainstream media. You will be found out, one way or another. Because you will be put under the magnifying glass. And the truth will out, as it always has, in the end. My name's Dabima, also known as Abatha-X, and I am, as always, very bad news for the RNLI idiots who are bringing these wankers into our country. The lamestream media who continues to lie through their teeth about the whole situation. Our corrupt police force who refuses to do anything that involves helping the British people. And of course our corrupt establishment and wishy-washy Sunak and Boris Johnson. The people who think it's okay to go out and party while the Queen's mother is having a goddamn funeral for her dead husband. And they think it's okay for rules for thee, but not for me. Thank you for watching. Have a wonderful day. And most importantly, fuck the government.